Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we talk about healthy relationships from a Muslim lens. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 2.5 years.
And let's get started.
Let's get started.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about where and how to find a spouse. That's the question that everybody, I remember that's the number one question that was on my mind.
It's the question we're all asking.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to review some of the most common ways. But of course, the answer is that you can literally meet anyone anywhere, right?
Yeah.
How you come across a person, it generally doesn't matter. What matters is how you evaluate that person to see whether or not they're actually a right fit for you.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. But we're just going to go through some of the ways on where you can be actively looking for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as a relationship coach for Muslim women, I can tell you that overwhelmingly, the number one way that people meet their spouses is through friends and family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with that.
Okay.
So when it comes to meeting someone through friends or family, it's just you put the word out to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a little bit of an awkward discussion to have. Did you ever have this discussion with your parents? Did you ever tell them, "Hey, I'm looking for someone"?
Yeah, my parents sort of got the vibe. I never actually specifically told them,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm looking for someone."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the doors blew wide open when I approached that person's father.
Oh yeah, that's mashallah, that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense. But I know I got this question the other day, and especially for young women, it's a little bit awkward to go to your parents and say, "Hi, I'm looking for someone. Can you find someone for me?" Because a lot of the parents are assuming that you're just gonna find someone yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that assumption is out there. So how to actually have that discussion? I usually tell the sisters, the women, just go to your mom and tell her, "Hey, for the record, I haven't met anyone and I don't think I'm going to meet anyone." So if you want grandchildren, that's literally what I said to my mom. So if you would like grandchildren, I'm depending on you from your end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm depending on.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's a little bit less
We're gonna
awkward.
put the ball in your court.
Yeah, it's a little bit less awkward to approach your mom. Depending on the relationship that you have with your parents, for you, it might be less awkward to approach your dad. But just to let them know and be very clear about the fact, if you're waiting for me to meet someone, that's not going to happen. Because when they hear that, they're going to be like, "Oh, okay." And then they'll put the word out to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the way that most people meet. I know, like, for me, the majority of people who were serious approached me through my family. Yeah, they went out and they spoke to my mom most often, and that's how that would move forward. So through friends and family. And with respect to friends more specifically, I would put the word out especially to your married friends.
Yes.
Yes, because now they have access to a whole bunch of people that you didn't previously have access to. So that's another common way that people meet. Is through talking to their friends. Just be like, "Hey, Samira, Sarah, whoever they are. If you know anybody, or if you've met anybody that would be interesting, let me know. I am looking."
Yeah, no, that's the way it's worked historically.
Yeah.
Before the internet, right?
Yeah.
People used to just say, "Hey, okay, I'm ready to get married, so go, my minions. Find people. Bring them back to my castle."
That would work. First, you need a castle.
Everybody had a castle.
It was better days.
Yeah.
So that first way doesn't really need too much explanation, right? It's just a matter of telling the people in your life, and that would be the approach that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
The second way that and it's quickly catching up to the first way. The second way that people are meeting people is through online.
Yes.
Through matrimonial apps, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I know people who've met on Twitter, just in general online. And although this is a smaller percentage, it is quickly catching up. I know that's how you and I met.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their dating apps are a very exhausting, disheartening, a disappointing place. But if you know how to use them correctly, they're actually a very effective tool.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Did you have a strategy when you were on the matrimonial apps or?
Yeah, I actually did.
Uh-huh.
I read the bio.
Yeah.
I like the bio.
Yes.
I like the picture.
Yeah.
I like the post.
Okay.
And I swipe right.
So you would actually go through all that information before you swiped right on each individual.
Well, yeah, there are some people that had ridiculous demands.
Like what?
You had to be like 16, 5, 30, 32 years old with $1 billion.
They would. Okay, that's interesting because as women, we don't really know what's going on on the men's side.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to hear. People would just list their preferences right there.
Yeah, yeah. You get a couple women that would be like, okay, I need this type of guy, this type of person, this and that. And it's like a lot.
A lot?
Yeah, it's like a lot.
A lot of things that they're asking for? Or
yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with my clients, I do things like help them curate their bio to from the get-go be able to attract the right type of person. It's important that it's important that you said that you actually read the bio because you were interested in marriage and you were serious about commitment.
Yeah.
So because that's what you were looking for, you would actually read the bio.
Yeah.
That's in the minority. Many of the people don't read the bio.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the algorithm and the way that the matrimonial apps are set up. The majority of people on the apps are men, and there's a smaller number of women.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially for people who their goal is not marriage,
sure,
they just swipe. They just swipe right on everybody, and then based on who ends up matching, then they go through to increase their odds of just matching with anybody.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's important to know that for the women, when someone is serious about marriage and they want to actually get to know you, they will have read your bio. Therefore, your bio is important on how you create it and how curate it and create it to be able to be recognized by the people who are looking for you. Right? I know we spoke about this in the talking stage, but you were able to recognize me from my bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can put some sort of like Easter egg inside your bio, some hidden puzzle that the person has to solve just to even meet you, that would increase your chances. Like, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Right? If you wrote in binary or in code, and I had to figure it out, I'd be like, this person, wow, I can't believe they did all that just to get my attention. It's wild.
That makes sense. I mean, it's, I don't know if that would be practical.
Oh, very practical. Think of it this way.
Yeah.
It'll only take you like an extra 55 minutes to figure out and write your bio.
Yeah.
But it would occupy the person for the rest of their life.
There you go.
Even if they don't swipe on you, they'd always be thinking, what was wrong with that person?
Yeah, just keep them guessing, literally.
You'd live in your head, and you'd live in their head rent free.
Once you curate your bio and you are recognized by the right people, and the people are now in your inbox and they're saying hello, salam, hey, and they're greeting you, again, we said that matrimonial apps are a tool, and if you know how to use them correctly, it can really help you get to the right person, right? And a big part of that is recognizing who's not the right person.
Exactly.
Yeah, so getting very, very good at being able to recognize who is, for one reason or another, not compatible with you, or even sometimes downright dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So some of the red flags are pretty obvious, and some of them are a little bit more subtle. Many of the clients are able to name the red flags and the people that they've spoken to before, or they're talking to right now. The issue that I see with women is in walking away. So they recognize a red flag. They say, these are the reasons why I probably shouldn't be with this person. But instead of walking away, they'll find excuses.
But he hasn't hit me yet.
Yes. Actually, that can be an extreme version. But they'll find other excuses like, well, he had a difficult past. Mm-hmm. He has a difficult family member. He's going through a lot right now. He's been through a lot. They'll empathize, right? Mm-hmm. Or they'll say, just for 100, they'll find 100 reasons why this red flag is not a red flag in this individual.
Yeah.
There's a number of reasons, right? Some of them are due to socialization, that women are socialized to be forgiving. Mm. And to, quote, see the best in people, like, quote unquote, see the best in people. Because subconsciously, we're trying really hard to not be a B word. I'm not going to say it, but the B word.
Mm.
And
a boy.
Yeah, sure. The other B word, but okay. And part of that means being nice or forgiving or kind or like some version of that.
Yeah.
A deeper reason why women stay is because it's meeting some need, engaging in this relationship that they know that it's either not leading anywhere or not leading anywhere good. Mm, yeah, it is meeting some underlying need, or is, we'll say, soothing a core wound, or maybe there's a little bit of codependency. There could be a number of reasons, but a very important skill, if you're going to be on the matrimonial apps, you have to know how to walk away. You have to know, number one, how to recognize who to walk away from.
Yeah.
And number two, walk away quickly. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we spoke about this on the talking stage, but something that can be helpful that will like psychologically reduce the obstacle of walking away, because it feels like, oh, I have to do all these things, is to write down in your notes app just a simple 2 or 3 sentences that you can just copy and paste every single time you see a red flag in somebody, right? So that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to now be like, okay, now I have to write this. It's already there. You just copy it and you paste it, and then you say salam alaikum. I also recommend that you block that person, right? Not because the person is bad or anything, but especially if there's any kind of feelings on your end, or expectations or hopes, and literally
they'll
anything.
Be able to talk you back in.
Exactly. But even if they don't talk you back in and you never hear from them, like psychologically having that open window is drawing your attention towards them.
Yeah.
And if your attention is drawn towards them, to some degree, you'll be emotionally unavailable for anyone new.
You know what they say?
Yeah.
When one door closes, a window opens.
Yeah.
It's the perfect chance for defenestration.
Okay. There's going to be a defenestration.
You just got to jump out the window.
Every time, defenestration.
Yep. You just got to jump out the window.
Okay. In this case, we're saying just lock all the windows, lock all the doors.
Honestly.
Sell the house and walk away.
It's just like force a habit for men.
Yeah.
If we see a window that's open, we're jumping in.
Jumping in, jumping out?
We're jumping in.
We're just jumping through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people have gotten scared.
Okay.
Yeah, I just found myself in strangers' houses. Why'd they keep their window open?
It's their fault.
It's their fault.
Yeah, that was.
I'm glad you see my side.
It's entrapment. But that's how that would be the approach, right? So having a thoughtful bio and paying attention when people are approaching you in your DMs or even on the phone, just throughout the whole talking stage, paying attention for those red flags, getting better at recognizing those red flags, and being able to walk away. That's how you approach the matrimonial apps.
Yeah.
So that's the second way. Sorry. And then let's go through a third way now, because now we're getting into territory that is a lot less common, that people utilize. The third way is through the masajid.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I say the masajid, I mean many of the mosques they don't have formal matchmaking services. If your mosque does, that's great. I would recommend that you use it, right? But if it doesn't, what you can do is you can go online, look up maybe 3, 4, 5 mosques in your area, and all of these masajids will have contact information. This is for both men and women, right?
Yeah.
The masajids will have contact information. You write up an email that includes your name, your occupation, your age, your marital status, if you've been married before, if you have any children, all the things that you would need to know, a partner would need to know, right? And then you write a little bit, small brief description about yourself, the things that you like, what you're looking for, etc. This is directed towards the imam themselves, right?
Yeah.
So this is not going to be written for the potential. You're going to be writing for the imam. Assalamu alaikum, imam, so and so, my name is so and so, I'm this old, etc. If you're a woman, you also want to include your wali's information.
Yeah.
Right, your wali's contact information, because that's who's going to be contacted. And then you send off that email. If you are comfortable including your picture, include your picture, right? Because it'll be for the imam.
Yeah.
So that they have an idea of who to match you up with. So you send all of this information out. The reason why this can work, and it does work, it's a little bit more rare, but it can work, is because the imams know who's in their congregation. And they are, especially from the brother's side, they know who's there. And if they are able to suggest someone, and one of them reaches back out to you, say, wa alaikum assalam, I have 2 or 3 brothers who I would suggest, right? The benefit is that person is automatically coming pre-vetted by an imam.
Yeah.
Which is it's
pretty strong.
That's a very good recommendation, right?
Yeah.
Because that means this is someone who's well known in their masajid, who is involved, who it's a good way to meet somebody who, if you're looking for someone whose community, whose religion is a little bit more serious, etc. This is a good way to meet that type of person. Yeah. And similarly for the brothers, if you write the same email, you send it out to the imams, they also know who's in the sister side might be available, right? Or they might know fathers who have daughters that are looking to get married, right? So this is the third way. It can work. So I would recommend it. The fourth way, we're now going to come to the fourth way, is to meet someone out in the world, just in the wild, where you see someone and approach someone.
Yeah.
So this one is the one that's a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's in my opinion, if we're able to normalize this fourth way, I believe that it will go a long way in solving a lot of the problems of getting married in everyone, young and older people. Yeah.
No, I think that is the normal way.
Yeah.
In the world now. I mean, it is tending towards dating apps.
Because it's easier to approach someone online, right?
Yeah, because you go through more people and rejection doesn't hurt as much.
Exactly. But when you're approaching someone face to face, like with your in real life face, right? Yeah. And your in real life information, there's a little bit more social awkwardness because it's not really the norm. And speaking because we're both Somali,
yeah,
it's especially for women in this country. I don't know how it is in other places, but in this country, it's a little bit more looked down upon. Yeah. Right? It's a little bit more stigmatized. That we're thinking, for example, if I were to meet, if I had seen you in the wild, and I said, that's an interesting person and I want to get to know, and I had approached you, knowing you were Somali, my number one thought would be like, now the community is going to know that I approach random men on the street, right? So let's just go through briefly what are some of the concerns that women have, honestly, and then some concerns that men have, and try to address those. with respect to this fourth way of meeting people?
I feel like if you did find me on the street,
yeah,
the first thing you'd be like, "Oh, what's that?
Okay.
Oh, yuck!" And then you'd approach me, and then I'd win you over with my charming personality.
Of course.
I gotta tell you,
Of course.
I've got a charming personality.
But
I have actually experienced the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
In Somalia, I've had women approaching me.
The woman approached you.
Yeah, the woman approached me.
How did that go?
How do you mean?
Like, when they approach you, what do you... Because the first concern that we have as sisters is, what is he going to think of me?
Oh.
That I'm approaching him. Like, is he going to think, am I being desperate? Am I being... We'll use their terms.
Well, they didn't care about that masculine? In Somalia for some reason.
But what did you think of them as when they approached you?
I mean, honestly, they started out the wrong way. Their approach was not in interest of me.
Oh.
Their approach was because I had a visa or a green card or something.
Oh, I see.
The way they would approach me and the woman in Somalia.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh, brother, hi. I want you to take me to Canada."
Straight up.
And I'm like, "Okay, what's your name?" I'm like, "Well, my name is Mariam or Asha or something."
Yeah.
So let's get married. Let's go to Canada. I don't even know you. I'm not looking for someone right now.
Yeah.
Is usually the answer I would provide, right?
Yeah.
Because they start off telling me that they're not looking for me, right? They're just looking to get to Canada.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really my vibe.
I've
had men approach me.
To do what?
Oh, well, not what you're thinking.
Okay.
They'd be like, "Hey, brother, how you doing?
Yeah.
Do you have any sisters I can marry?"
Oh, I see.
And I'm like, "Well, no, my sister's married."
Yeah.
And he's like, do you have any other sisters? No, I don't. What about like cousins or like cousins of cousins or like, do you have anybody I can marry?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what can I tell you, man?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
No. You're just gonna have to get lucky.
Yeah.
Look for it yourself.
Okay.
But everybody was trying to get to Canada.
Okay, so like if we remove that as an obstacle and say, we'll say here in Canada, right?
Sure.
Especially in larger cities, like in Toronto, etc. If a sister sees a brother somewhere in like the grocery store or the library or somewhere, and she thinks this is somebody I would be interested in, right? Or she might already know him from the community and is like thinking this is someone I'd be interested in.
Yeah.
And she approaches him, right? So first of all, let's talk about the approach. The way to approach, in my opinion, is you take out a piece of paper. You write down your name, your wali's name, and the contact information for your wali.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go up to the brother and you say, "Assalamu alaikum. My name is so-and-so. I think that you're really interesting. If you also think that I'm interesting, here's where you can contact me." And you just hand them the piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then you just walk away.
Honestly, that seems like a really good idea.
Yeah. How would you, if somebody approached you and did all that, like, what would you think of her as a man?
Super flattered.
Okay.
I'd be super flattered. And also, I'd be like, you know what? That's actually a respectable way to approach a man.
Yeah.
It lays down the boundary that one,
yeah,
sure, I approached you, right, to start the conversation. But if you want to continue the conversation, you got to go through the proper channels.
That's right.
And I wouldn't think any less of her. I'd actually think more of her.
More.
Because it's better than a woman approaching and saying, "Hey, you want to go talk or like go for a coffee or like start talking with each other or something like that." Because I would be a little weirded out by that because I'm very observant when it comes to the like the
religious protocols. Yeah.
I try not to. But that's not to say I wouldn't turn someone down if they said anything. Like, honestly, like it's a compliment. Holy, like if you were to approach me, and you're like, "Ugh, what's wrong with your face?"
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
But then you're like, "You know what? I like you though."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Heck yeah, okay, yeah, no, let's talk."
Yeah, you go through. Would you then? The second question is because in order to talk to her, you now have to immediately talk to the wali.
Yeah.
So if I approach you this way and you decided, okay, I want to talk to her.
I've done it before without the person saying, "Hey, I'm interested in you."
So it's because again, this is another question that I've seen on the platforms is reaching out to the wali from the get-go. What would you even say? Like, what would you say?
I'd be like, "Assalamu alaikum, brother. I was walking down the street one day."
Are you gonna out her?
I was walking down the street one day.
Yeah.
And I saw so and so. And I liked her.
Yeah.
Right. And I got the feeling that she liked me.
Okay.
So I managed to get your phone number, your contact details.
Okay.
Right. I just want to ask if it's okay if we can start talking to each other for the purpose of seeing if we're compatible for marriage. Okay. Right? So you are telling the truth.
Yeah.
Right. You're not saying she gave me. You're like, okay, I liked her.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that she liked me.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. So that if somehow a woman approaches you, and she goes through the steps, yeah, I think it's very important that you don't out her to her family, simply because there is still stigma associated with approaching men, and that you add a little bit of tact, just like you did, of saying, this is, I got her information instead of she gave me your information. That's really good. Yeah. Similarly, if a brother meets a sister, right, he can use exactly the same technique.
Yeah.
Where he just writes down his information this time, right? And says, Assalamu alaikum, sister. My name is so and so. I think you're really interesting. If you think that I'm interesting, please have your wali reach out to me here.
Yeah.
Right. So you're giving her your information, but you're telling her wali to reach out to you.
And it works beautifully.
Yeah. If somebody approached me like that out in the wild, I would respect you.
I would respect me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, because like there is this idea based on what we were talking about last week with our episode about the gender wars, right? Or because of the conversation being around the overall creepiness of men, right? And then now there's this burden that men have to carry of not being creepy. Men
are generally strange.
No, but just of this burden of not, out of this fear of not being creepy, right? There's this hesitation of approaching women at all, in a halal manner. Yeah. So I can tell you that for the majority of sisters, I can't speak for the majority, but I can tell you that that there are enough sisters who won't be creeped out by this, that it's worth your time to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
we're talking to the brothers?
Yeah, we're talking to the brothers.
Okay. I can tell the sisters confidently that if they do approach the brother in the way that you mentioned, 99% of the chance, the brother is going to be like, yeah, sure, let's talk.
Yeah, he's not going to think down.
You got to be careful though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know what? You're the first filter. Yeah. Because you're the one approaching. So you would approach the person that you like. Yeah. But I think it would be rare for a brother to say no. Yeah. To somebody.
I wouldn't even be worried about whether or not. I wouldn't even be worried about whether or not they're saying no. I'd be more concerned about are they looking down on me? Are they not?
Why would they?
That's the thought. That's the thinking that we're having, right? Because there is this idea of don't look desperate, don't look clingy, right? You need to keep your dignity intact. There is this idea that going out and approaching a man will somehow compromise that, right? The way
you can send somebody to fetch the man.
Somebody is not always going to be available though. Right?
No, you can just be like, are you saying this is a person that you you would never have another chance to see.
Yeah, because this does happen.
Interesting.
I think that if we were to normalize this experience in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot more people would be getting married quicker in a way that's halal.
How about this then?
Yeah.
How about you don't talk to the person?
Yeah.
What if you just give them a card that says everything?
That's a little weird. I think you need to actually say
like,
something out loud.
No, but you just go up to them and you're like, card. And they're like, oh, is this for me?
Yeah.
Card. Take card.
Okay, now that's...
And then they take it and they start to read it and they're like, thank you. And you're like, shh.
No talking.
No talk. Just read.
So if we go through some of the concerns again, right?
Yeah.
The reason why this approach is probably more favorable, right, of you handing them a card and walking away, regardless of which one you are in the situation, if you're the man or the woman, is that you are leaving you're leaving their autonomy intact. Because if we look at what dating coaches advise in the secular world, right, there's this idea that you go to somebody and you start a conversation.
Yeah.
And you continue the conversation. And at the end of the conversation, you get the person's contact information.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't like that method...
It's a bit of an ambush.
It is an ambush, and it's holding somebody socially hostage to your conversation until you decide it's over. So if they don't like you, they now have to engage with you.
They have to be hostile.
Okay. Don't be, but they are hostile.
Well, here's a way you can defend yourself from people like that.
Yeah.
If a person approaches you, right, and you don't like that they're trying to ask you out, right? Whenever you want to end the conversation, you just get, ugh, what's wrong with your face? And that's it.
Yeah, I don't think we're physically capable of saying that out loud.
Oh, no?
No.
Okay.
I know definitely in me, I'm not.
What you got to do is you just got to practice.
Okay.
Just approach people, even if you don't find them ugly or anything like that. You just say, ugh, what's wrong with your face? Eventually, after like the 15th fight that you've gotten into, you'll get used to it.
Eventually. So this is why this method is more favorable.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to send someone on your behalf, right? This is probably more favorable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because historically, we have the examples of Khadija radiallahu anha. She sent somebody to ask about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have the example of Musa alayhi salam. His eventual wife, she asked her dad about him, right, to approach him. So historically that's what's established in our culture. They had the benefit
of knowing where the other person was.
They did, yeah, exactly. So, but that's what I said. Sometimes this is a known member of your community. Yeah. So you might be someone who's active in your masjid. And you might know that so-and-so is also active in your masjid. And you might have heard about them, and they might be someone who's available. Yeah. So in that case, you know of them, whether or not you see them in the world, you might be able to approach them through someone else. You can talk to your sister, for example. Yeah. Or a cousin or somebody, and get them to approach him and just say, hey, Assalamu alaikum. We just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Are you interested in marriage? I know somebody who's interested in you. All right. This is how you can have the conversation. You say, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. How are you doing? We're doing good. Okay. I have somebody who would be interested in you for the purpose of marriage, right? Are you looking right now? Yeah. And they'll say yes or they'll say no. If they say yes, I am looking, they'd be like, oh, okay. Well, the sister is this and this old, whatever. You can give them some details.
The sister is this and this old.
Actually,
here is a picture of her. Yeah. Don't mind her face.
No.
Actually, because like, ugh, what's wrong with her, right?
Actually, I would take all of that information back. Right?
No, of course.
And I would just say, if you are interested, here's the contact information for her wali. Yeah. Right? And if this is your sister or somebody, then it's the same wali. Just say, this is the contact information for her wali, and you can ask about her.
I would see the daunting task for the guy.
Yeah.
is reaching out to the wali before he even knows what she looks like.
So how would you want, okay, so if it was me telling you about my friend.
What's wrong with the headshot?
Like, just have a picture in your phone?
Yeah, just a picture of your face. You have the hijab on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it is permissible to look at a woman for the purpose of figuring out if you can get married to them.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one time that you're allowed to look up at a woman.
That's true.
So just have a picture and say, okay, if you like her, right? You want to take it further? Yeah. There you go.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay, in that case, so if it's a sister and she's approaching her brother, Assalamu alaikum, my name is so-and-so. I have a sister who is interested in you for the purpose of marriage. Are you looking right now? Yes, I am. Okay, here's a picture of her, right? If you are also interested, she's this is her age. Yeah. Like, I think age is an important piece of information just to see, to gauge if there's compatibility there, right?
Understand.
Yeah.
While she looks 30, she's actually 75.
Okay. No, just in general, I feel like that's an important identifier regardless, right? So this is how old she is. If you are interested, here is her wali's information.
A good man wouldn't really care about the age, though.
This is true, and I agree with you. But to have no information is too much. So if you're going to have some information that is at least not too much of an identifier, like that's not really personal. Yeah. Because when you start going through things like this is how old she is, she did, she has this educational background, this career.
Yeah, it's a bit too far.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to give him some kind of identifier, I would just give him the age. Yeah. Right. He might already know who she is. If she knows about him, likely he knows about her. Just say it's sister so-and-so. We'll say Fatima. This is sister Fatima. She's 32 years old. If you are interested in her, and if you would be interested in her, I can give you her wali's information. And then you either hand him the piece of information or stand there while he puts it into his phone. Yeah. And then you just walk away.
Well, you got to seal the deal.
How?
You got to slap him in the face.
Of course.
To hide the intentions of that conversation.
Yeah. You can't.
What's wrong with your face?
Okay, and vice versa. If it's a brother, like if it's a man and he's out there and he knows that there's a sister in the community that he likes and would like to approach. Yeah. If for some reason he doesn't want, I think it's more, there's less stigma with a man approaching a woman, right?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but if for whatever reason he doesn't want to, if he's a little bit shy and doesn't want to approach her directly, right? I would just send another woman. I would not recommend he send a man. If you're gonna
what's the point of sending a man?
Yeah.
Does that not defeat the purpose?
Literally, I saw a situation about that today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I literally saw a situation about that today where somebody was asking exactly that question about sending a man to ask about a woman. So the best way that I would
usually you would send a woman to ask about a woman and a man to ask about a man.
Yes. But for the women, sometimes if they don't have another man available, like if they don't have a brother or somebody trusted that they can go, it's going to be very hard for them to ask their dad, but can you go see about that man? That's a very hard conversation.
Try asking first, though.
Yeah.
Try asking Papa first.
Yeah, but it's...
Well, look, here's the thing, right? If the father's a respectable father, okay, he's going to do it. Because he understands that his daughter wants to get married. Yeah. Right? He's not one to control that. Yeah. Right? He can try to say no, but unless he has a legitimate reason for it, then he can't say no. So he might as well be involved in the process from the beginning.
I understand, but for some people, including myself, you don't really find the right partner the first time.
Sure.
And I know my dad, who's, mashallah, he's a very busy man and he's a very good man. He got sick and tired of all the people that I was bringing him. So at some point he said, okay, the next person I want to talk to I'm just gonna say it needs to be someone serious. Yeah. All right. So it's if it's just this one person and your dad is not fatigued of the process, like I know I made my dad, then go for it. But if you would, because in him reaching out to your dad is already a filter, a barrier.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to ask your dad to go approach someone and they're not even interested in you like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
a
it's
natural filter.
Exactly. So to get past this first obstacle, I would send a woman.
Yeah.
Right? I would send a sister.
I've tried once before. When I was in high school, there was a girl that I fancied.
Okay.
And I remember calling my sister.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate that she was on speakerphone.
Oh no.
And she didn't realize that she was on speakerphone until everybody else started laughing in the room.
Oh no.
The conversation started out with like, "Hey, how you doing, sis?" "Oh, I'm doing all right." "Okay, well, you know so and so in school?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, I do. What about her?" "Well, I like her." Okay, and I was wondering if you could ask her that, just let her know that I like her. Right? And she's like, "Oh, you know, oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll go ahead and, well, what do you like about her?" And I'm like, it's not really, I don't really want to.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
I don't really want to talk about that, but like, I don't know. I just think she's pretty.
Yeah.
Right? She's nice. She's shy.
Yeah.
Right? She's not very like out there or wild. And then I just start hearing some snickering in the background and like, "Are you on speakerphone?" It was.
How did you come back from that? I would not be able to come back from that.
Well, I was like, oh, I would have hoped you wouldn't have had me on speakerphone, but thanks anyway. And then I just went out and I asked her myself.
There you go. See, that's how you learned that lesson.
Sad.
It is. I mean, all wisdom comes through pain, right?
You got to make sure that you're not on speakerphone.
That is, I would add that to the list.
Yeah.
Add that to the list of things.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, a good strategy to have. That if you're a woman, I know for me, I would rather send one of my friends or a sister to go ask about somebody, or maybe my brother, rather than my father. And if you're a man, either approach her yourself or send another woman.
No, for real.
Yeah, send another woman.
Approach her yourself or send another woman.
Yeah, because it's part of the issue is that definitely as women, we don't really want too much of our information out there.
Yeah.
With too many randoms. So
actually.
So that's why I would rather just deal with women if we can.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So I think those are the ways.
Yeah.
To approach somebody. I'm trying to think if we've missed anything in terms of some of the concerns that people had. I don't think we did, In Shaa Allah.
No, I don't think we did, actually. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, because I know because each side is wondering what the other one is thinking. You know what I mean? So when the men are approaching women, they're like, well, am I being creepy? What is she, like, these are some of the worries in the back of their mind, right?
Yeah.
So our response to that was that enough women won't think that you're creepy, regardless if they find you attractive or not. They won't at least think that you're creepy, that it's still worth a try.
Totally.
And for women, our concern is our reputation in the community, which there really isn't much that I can say about that. If it turns out that this brother goes out and says, "Hey, do you know what happened so-and-so today?" And khalas, yani, that's just information for you that this person wasn't the right match for you anyway.
Absolutely. No, that's it totally makes sense that they wouldn't be the right match for you.
Yeah, if they're just gossiping about you, then there's not much you can do about it. I think that would be the minority. Like, that's a fear that we have, and it can technically happen.
Yeah.
But again, it's in such a minority of people that it's not worth worrying over too much.
That's it.
Yeah, I think the worst that could happen is that the brother might brag to his friends and say, "Yeah, today I got approached," right? Which is not a bad thing. Like,
I mean, it's a great thing, honestly.
Yeah, like I know my brother, Tabarakallah, he's been approached.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's been approached, and we don't think anything negatively of the sister.
No, of course not.
Because I've been in her position. I understand what it is. If anything, I respect her.
Yeah.
In the way that she approached my brother.
I'll be honest, the one time that I thought negatively of it was when I was in grade 4.
Oh.
And I didn't know what love was yet.
Okay.
And there was this girl that followed me home.
It's already very aggressive.
Yeah, she followed me from school. And halfway through my trip home, I noticed, because I'd look behind me,
Yeah.
and I'd see her following me. And then a couple minutes later, look behind me, she's still following me.
Oh no.
And then I get all the way up to my home. I lived in an apartment at the time.
Yeah.
I went to go up the elevator.
Yeah.
And she got in the elevator with me. And then I knew she didn't live on my floor. Right?
But she lived in the same building?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All this in the same neighborhood.
Maybe she was going home all this time.
No. She didn't live on the same floor as me. Okay. She lived on the floors before me.
Okay.
Right? Like the lower floor.
Yeah.
And so she got all the way up to the same floor as me. I got out. She got out. She followed me. I knocked on my door. My mom opened the door. And I'm like, "Hi, Mom, I'm home. There's this girl following me. Can you tell her to stop following me?" And my mom instantly knew what's up.
Yeah.
Right? She instantly knew. The girl ran off.
Oh, she was afraid of the mom.
Girls mature emotionally faster than men.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Alhamdulillah.
I had no idea this concept of feelings. I never developed feelings for anyone before.
What did you think she wanted?
I don't know. I think she was just trying to bug me. I honestly didn't know. I had no idea that guys and girls could fall in love.
You thought she came all the way to your house just to annoy you specifically.
Honestly, that's what I thought. Yeah. when I was in grade 4.
Yeah.
For me, it was like grade 6 where
you start to understand.
Romantic interests started to develop.
Okay.
For me.
That's when you understood.
That's when I understood, yeah.
Then you thought back to that girl and you were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. I'm surprised my mom didn't say anything about it. She just chuckled to herself and said, "Okay, come inside."
Your mom had fun raising you guys.
Yeah.
So many stories.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be it for the topics regarding how to meet somebody. So this week I also wanted to touch on a question, right? It's been making its rounds on the internet, and I thought that we should at least try to address it.
Sure.
I think this came up on one of the platforms about a month ago.
Yeah.
And somebody posted, and they said, a new wife is a bit too affectionate. Right? To summarize, it's a young man. He says that he's been married for 4 months. They're both Somali, raised in Canada. However, my wife is very, very affectionate to the point that it is a bit suffocating, right? And then he goes through to describe all the ways in which she's very affectionate. And he says, how do I tell her to tone things down without hurting her feelings? So the reason why I want to bring this up is because, like we spoke about in the first, I think it was the first podcast, that this is one of the, or is it the second podcast? That this is one of the common reasons for divorce. So a lot of the
different levels in affection.
Exactly. Like a lot of the people, like it was a little bit humorous. Like the comments written underneath that they were pretty funny, but it's actually a very serious issue. Where after you meet somebody, it's important to see whether or not you're compatible in your comfort with affection. So it is first so there is this concept called attachment style, right?
Yeah.
And with we can go into it in detail in another podcast, but in general, there's 3 different types of insecure attachment style. And essentially, they're a description of how comfortable you are with emotional intimacy. On one extreme, you have somebody who's extremely comfortable, the people who are anxious attachment. And the other extreme, you have somebody who's very uncomfortable with any emotional intimacy, and appropriately, they're called avoidant attachments. So people who are avoidantly attached. And in between, oscillating back and forth, you have people who are fearful avoidant, right? But it's important to have an understanding of how comfortable you are with affection and make sure that you are asking the right questions to assess how comfortable the other person is. Do you remember when you and I were in our talking stage? Do you remember if we talked?
I think I said 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah, we did talk about this where I asked you specifically, I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you with affection? And then you said a 9. And I was like, okay, this is good news. And then I said, how comfortable are you, with showing affection. So the first one was receiving affection. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you with showing affection?
Yeah.
And I think you gave a similar answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to ask both. Because some people are okay with receiving affection, but they're not comfortable with showing affection. I think that's where the bigger obstacle is. Yeah, sometimes men, particularly men, right? The statistics are varied on how common avoidance, like which gender tends to be more avoidant or tends to be more anxious. But in our community particularly, there are women who are avoidant and men who are avoidant, more typically men. They can be uncomfortable with saying things like "I love you." That could be a very difficult sentence. Has that been your experience among the other men?
I mean, men that don't know to say "I love you" are men that are looking for an unhappy relationship.
Yeah, but is it like I think most people know that they need to say it, but they feel uncomfortable saying it, right?
I don't think they would. I don't think they should. Like normal man.
Yeah.
My friends, I don't expect that they would have trouble saying "I love you" to their spouse.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like this is something that would come easy for men. I think it might just be saying "I love you" in front of other men. Right. Maybe there's that whole thing where the men don't want to show their soft side in front of other men. But I don't have that qualm. Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm okay saying "I love you"
in
front of my friends. It wouldn't bother me.
But there can be, So this is good news because this is something we actually talked about, right?
Yeah.
In addition to asking that question, I also asked you the question of, do you guys say "I love you" in your family? Is this something that's another question you can ask?
I don't think we do very often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I know when we were younger, we didn't say it as often, but the older that we get, like in my family specifically, the older that we get, the more important we understand it is to say, because you never know what can happen, right?
I think I only ever say it to my mom. It's rare that I would say it to my brother or sister.
Yeah.
Right.
To your siblings.
Yeah.
But this is a question that when you're in that talking stage, you can also ask to help you assess whether or not this is a difficult phrase for someone. Because when you talk about things like love languages, if your love language is words of affirmation, right, and that's how you understand and receive love, and you marry somebody who it's very difficult for them to, I'm not saying that they don't love you, but it's just difficult for them to say those words or to say the other words that are that feel reassuring to you. That can cause real tension, especially in the beginning of a marriage, especially in the beginning.
The question, right? How often do you say "I love you" to your family? I think that question, it's going to be hard to gauge how easy it is for the person to say "I love you" to you. If it's a case of like, because in my example, right, I love all my family members, but we just don't verbally say it, right? Except to my mom. But that doesn't make it so that I'm not uncomfortable saying "I love you" to my wife. It's compartmentalized in two different sections of my brain. So it just, I don't have any issue with that.
Part of the reason why I asked that, right? I ask it specifically that way. How comfortable are you with saying "I love you" to your family? Is in your response, right? So in your response, if you are saying the words "I love you," do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because like, if you are saying, "Oh, we don't really say "I love you" to my family," or we do, like even just to see your comfort with actually saying the words out loud is also important information, because sometimes when they're further up on the spectrum of avoidant attachment, have difficulty with even saying the words out loud. So they'll say, "We don't say it in our family. It's not something we say." Like they won't say the actual word. So they'll say like, "We don't really say that in my family," or so and so will say it. So it's but it's that by itself is also additional information to see whether or not where this person.
So why don't you pose the question to them? If you were to say it to your wife, how would you say it?
That's a beautiful question. I like that. Right? So it's a beautiful question.
The way I would say it?
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with your face?
All right. There you go. So there is that. And for this brother specifically, who asks how can he address this issue? What would you advise him if his wife is more affectionate than he's comfortable with?
I mean, that's just her living out her fantasies for the past however many years, right? Everybody has that.
Yeah.
Literally the honeymoon phase. Everybody has that where they have the person that they love. Now they're able to actually interact with them in that lovey-dovey way. Yeah. Whereas before they had to be reserved, right? They had to be modest, right?
Yeah.
Now that you guys are married, you guys are just expressing yourselves, and it's a whole novelty, and much like a kid gets their driver's license, and they're able to now drive a car, they're gonna want to drive the car every chance they get.
Okay.
Mama's going to the grocery store. Yeah, hey, let me go with you.
Yeah.
Right? Papa's gonna pick up some food. Hey, let me drive. Right? But at some point in time, they're gonna get used to the novelty of being married, and things are just gonna tone down.
Yeah.
They're still gonna drive, right? But they're not gonna jump at every single chance to drive. They're not gonna go out and drive when they can. She is going to settle into her affection. It's not gonna be like this forever.
Yeah.
Right. You guys are gonna find a balance that works for you.
So the balance point. So he'll ask you, how long should I wait?
As long as you have to, bud. As long as you have to.
What would happen if you had a conversation with her?
It would damage the marriage.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like it would damage the marriage irrevocably, for the entirety of the marriage.
That would be. I can tell you. I'm not sure how it would be for you, but for me, if you had come to me and said, "Listen, this is too much affection," or "This is more," in any way, it doesn't matter how it's worded. There is no way at all to word it that it would hurt less.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that is, sure, she's being super affectionate to you now.
Yeah.
Right? And that might last, what, 1 year, 2 years?
Honestly, 4 months is it's
if
probably
it's
on 9
long,
now.
3 years.
Yeah.
What you have to consider is, In Shaa Allah, when you both make it to heaven.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to keep her standing there for 40 years while you stare at her.
Yeah.
So why are you complaining?
This is true. This is her payback.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I would say that if I know, speaking for myself, and I've heard the sentiment from a number of women, but speaking for myself, no matter how it's worded, if I had received the information from you that I was being too affectionate, that would be GG Nori.
Yeah.
That would be really hard for me to come back from.
For those that don't know, GG is good game.
Yeah.
No replay.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So it's like it would be very hard for me to ever display any kind of affection ever again, because that would always be in the back of my mind of, is this too
too much?
Yes, because of how much that rejection hurts, it would feel like rejection. It would be really hard to expose yourself in that way.
It
to
would
be
not
vulnerable.
be fun.
Yeah, to be vulnerable in that way and risk that rejection a second time. Right?
Yeah, that's it. You're done for.
Exactly. So at 4 months, I would say to be patient at least another 2 months. I would say around the 6 month mark is when the whatever culture of affection that you've established with your partner, it's at its maximum.
He's probably already there.
Yeah, it's at its maximum for the first 6 months before it starts to come down, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has their own version of what that looks like.
Literally.
Yeah. I think you and I would be in the same house and we would still text each other. Because for me it's words of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
So we would still text each other for the first however many months.
Yeah.
So it's just a part of marriage, the marriage experience, that whatever your spouse was hoping to live out, they're now having a chance to live out.
Yeah.
And so are you, honestly.
Yeah.
And if you are still in the talking stage, you can find somebody who you're compatible with in this respect. But if you are already married and this person is here, you're going to have to be the one who is a little bit more you're going to have to be the one to stretch.
Yeah.
Right? In order not to introduce that damage in your relationship.
True.
Yeah. So this is something you should have addressed before you got married. But now that you're married, you're going to have to be the one to stretch.
It's not even going to be a big deal. Like they're almost done with their honeymoon stage from the looks of it. I mean, it's 4 months, right?
For you and I, it's not a big deal. But I can tell you, right, when somebody has avoidant attachment insecurity, it feels scary. It feels painful.
I don't even think that guy's avoidant. I don't even think he is.
He's more avoidant than she is.
Yeah.
But the way
she's just super happy from the sounds of it.
She is.
Like she literally found her Prince Charming.
Yeah, absolutely. But I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying, because at some point, if it feels like overwhelming, right, if it does feel overwhelming, part of what's happening is that the other person is so focused on living out what it is that they wanted to live out, that you are less, they see you less as a person and an individual, and more as an object of their affection. So a place where they can live out. Right. So it's not nice to be objectified in this way. Right. So I understand where he's coming from a little bit, but this is part of what it is to be married as a Muslim. Yeah.
He's getting so older.
He doesn't like the food, it sounds like.
Yeah.
He's objecting to the menu. But I understand where he's coming from, but the way to handle it would be to be the one to stretch in this moment. Go. Yeah. I think that would be everything. Did you?
Yeah, it was a very fruitful conversation.
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right. So, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. We hope that you enjoyed that conversation and it was useful for you. Just a heads up to our listeners, especially the Muslim women. I'm working on a project actually right now, where I'm creating an intensive workshop called The Beginner's Guide to How Men Think. This is a program specifically for women, because, as Muslim women, we don't really engage with men.
Sure.
We just grow up, go to school, come home, go to work, come home, etc.
Yeah.
So you don't really have too many opportunities to actually engage with men.
The good thing is that I'm a man, and I think.
Yes.
And I also how.
There you go. Those are all of the steps.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm pointing that out is because a very common issue that I'm seeing in among Muslim women is that because we haven't really interacted with men, we have no idea how to approach them. We've been approaching them in the same way that we approach women.
Yeah.
And we assume that you guys think the same way that we think.
Hey, what is up, girlfriend?
Yeah, okay, all right. And the issue with that is that it leads you to be a little bit naive and what people's intentions can actually be when you're out there trying to find a spouse, right? So it's important to have a little bit of information about how to recognize what somebody's intentions might be with you, who is compatible with you, who is not compatible with you, all of the things.
Yeah.
This is information that it took me a long time to find out the hard way with all of the trial and error. So I am working on compiling it into a 1-hour intensive workshop.
That's what's up.
In Shaa Allah, and it will be out towards the end of July. So if you are interested, I will leave a link below in the description where you can add your name to the waitlist.
Now also in the Discord.
Yes, absolutely. And also into our community for Muslim women in the Discord, which also has a link in the description.
Don't forget to drink water.
Okay, and stay hydrated. That's a good one. Okay, so Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.